eat to laugh, and when the sun is out.
Day.
Hi, I'm JJ.
And I'm Travis.
I'm Mary Grace from Flying Fish.
And we're doing a beer review for you. All right. Today we're here with Mary Grace from Flying Fish, or MG. It's either MG or Mary Grace, right?
Don't call me Mary.
Right. That's your mother, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're doing 4 beers today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Flying Fish and where you're located first?
Absolutely. So Flying Fish got started in the mid-'90s in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Our owners are from New Jersey, Winter Rockers. They love New Jersey. So we are Jersey born and bred.
What's a winter rocker?
I have no idea. A winter walker?
You said they're winter rockers?
They went to Rutgers.
Oh, they went to Rutgers. Oh, that must be a Jersey
got
accent.
a little allergies going on.
Okay.
So, hence the deep voice of trying to go sultry today. So anyways, we got too big for our britches and needed to expand. So we ended up finding a significantly larger building in Somerdale, New Jersey, where we moved to in the fall of 2012. We updated and got all brand new brewing equipment, added a whole bunch of new fermentation tanks, and we're able to double our capacity. We're hoping to eventually triple our capacity by accruing more fermentation tanks. We have an awesome team. We got a great sales team. We got a great owner. We got great brewers, great packaging guys.
I will say that probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I always thought that Flying Fish was kind of like an entry-level craft brewery. Until the Exit series came out. And when the Exit series came out, this beer really put you on the craft map, and I think it just took it to a different level. That's my opinion.
And that's what we've noticed. I think between the brewery move and adding these new styles and making some of our Exit beers into year-round beers, which are the 16 and the 4, which you're going to try today. And I'll definitely, as we're trying the beers, I can get more in-depth into the Exit series and what it is, why we do it. But it's definitely helped us fill that like beer geek niche. And
well, doesn't it revolve around the joke? Like, what exit do you live off of?
What's your exit? And again, I mean,
Is it? Or
is it Turnpike? I thought it was a Turnpike.
It's the Turnpike.
The Turnpike.
Oh, is it?
It's the Turnpike.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm the Eastern Pennsylvania sales rep for Flying Fish, and so I only represent the PA side. I lived in Philly for 15 years, and so no part of me is Jersey except for the beer that I love and I sell. So whenever people ask me questions about Jersey, that's where I
like that about you, Mary.
info at flyingfish.com or Google.
Nice. So let's do the 16 first because Travis is a little pussy when it comes to warmer beer, and
More
he likes his
importantly, I
light
want to
beer.
drink that. I really do. I love
That's, I mean, well, that I always knew that this beer was going to do very well, especially here at Link Beverages, because I knew that was one of JJ's favorite beers.
Yeah.
So
I love the double IPA, and when I saw the Wild Race, I didn't know what to expect. But the malt bill is so low on this. Like, it's just a light beer.
And what
look
makes
at that
it-
color.
And what makes it so light?
To me, it looks like a Budweiser almost. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like a Pilsner.
And I love that. And I love the burst of flavor and aroma. Oh, yeah. There you go.
But it smells like a good IPA.
Yeah.
So with
Okay.
the Exit 16, the grain bill, 2% of the grain bill, we use an organic black wild rice. And what that does
Black
is
wild rice?
it's black wild rice. So this is not your straight up Uncle Ben's like rice. Because people, when they look at the bottle and they're like, rice, is this Budweiser? No. Or they see the wild rice and ask
That's
if it's
pretty cool.
gluten free.
But the rice,
So it's still 98% malt. And then what the rice does is it really, really dries it out and helps the
Provides that
beer
crisp
better ferment.
finish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it so light in body and really ultimately light in mouthfeel. So you get a real nice earthiness.
Yeah. And there's still enough starch in there to convert the sugar into rice, so you can still.
Seriously, I was thinking I might be too forward if I ask you for more. It's really good.
Exit 16 is my favorite Flying Fish. Exit 4 is a close second, but this is phenomenal. You're right; it is crisp, it's clean, it's hoppy,
8.2%.
Oh,
And it's also available year-round, all the time. In addition to the Exit 4, which we'll get to next, it's available in 12-ounce bottles, so you can buy a case of it at your favorite beer distributor.
like Link Beverages.
Like Link Beverages.
Think Link.
But it's also available in draft as well. So, JJ can always get a sixel for you if
Absolutely.
you have a kegerator, even a half. Or if there are any retail accounts that watch this, we definitely have both styles of draft available in through Geiger, LH Lehigh.
Well, it hides the
Oreo.
8.2%.
With the hard sell. We're talking about beer.
Yeah. This is
I'm a trained robot
Yeah,
who
yeah.
always sell.
this is YouTube. This is a soft sell, so we got to be a little bit geeky. I got to say though, I don't like the other beer reviews on YouTube. The guys are really uptight. Sniffing the beer, telling the notes. I don't smell hints of freshly mown grass and all that stuff. You know what I mean? It's a little over the top. So we gotta have fun. Beer's supposed to be fun, or else it turns into wine and you're drinking with your pinky out. So
if you put your pinky out, we're gonna scald you too.
What if I put the other finger out?
That's okay. That's encouraged.
You have bonus points for that.
Point it that way. I like how it's so crisp at the end.
Oh, it's great.
I do. I love it.
It hides the 8.2 well too. Like you don't even know it. You don't.
You do. You do when there's one left in that cardboard case.
Yeah.
You know it's 8.2.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's a very good job. Thank you for bringing 3 of them.
My pleasure. I guess I got more in my trunk.
She's the best rep, too.
I was actually going to ask. I was actually not going to let you sit down unless I knew that there was more than one of these because that's how much I like it.
There's a couple more.
Yeah.
I know where you can get some.
Where?
You can actually buy a full case of it right outside.
Now, your comment to me a couple of years ago was that in Philly they call it the poor man's Pliny.
Yeah, someone. No. It was actually a bottle shop in Southampton, and he told me it was the poor man's Heady Topper. Heady Topper. So I've compared it more of like I'd like to rather say a local version of the Heady Topper, or even like a filtered version, because I have.
Oh, Heady Topper is like it's.
That's the queen bee, but I have done a side-by-side comparison with the Exit 16 and the Heady Topper, and they are very, very similar, but you definitely are going to get those chunks because Heady Topper
has more
can
aroma,
fermented.
I think. I think there's a little more aroma with that chunkiness and that unfilteredness.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I just...
I don't know. I believe that this is almost as fragrant, but this isn't as lasting bitter.
Right.
Enjoy the
No, you're right.
Enjoy the bitterness, and then it goes away. I think Heady is very specialized.
Right.
Like you enter into that can knowing that it's going to rape your tongue, and it's going to be...
Right.
This is something that you can enjoy that same, I think, bitterness or that same level of bitterness, and then it drops off. It's not a bad thing that it drops off because you get that crisp finish.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost like a rich man's Budweiser. It's like you get all that hop aroma that you want.
And you
You don't get that super long lasting. Wow, I still taste that 6 hours later.
Yeah, that bitterness.
Unless you still drink them 6 hours later. In which
You
case
just call the
laying on
Exit
floor.
16 the rich man's Budweiser?
Yeah.
Oh.
Instead of a poor man's Heady.
No, I don't like it. Veto.
Okay.
Whoa! Travis has never been talked to like this.
No, I'm
also the first woman. I'm the first woman you've interviewed, so.
You edit that out there. Back it up to when I was still doing good. Then.
Not while I'm drinking. I almost got little tears
Send it
coming
back
out.
All right, so we're on Exit 4 now.
We'll get back to Mary Grace's life story in a second.
So what part of Philly did you live?
So I moved all over Philly. I obviously lived in West Philly in University City for 5 years while I was going to school. And then when I first moved back to Philly, lived in Graduate Hospital for a year, then moved to Northern Liberties and lived there for 3 years.
That's the place to be.
And then my landlord was selling my house, so I moved down to Pensport, which is in South Philly. It's south of
Pensport pub.
Yeah, there's a permanent Flying Fish tap handle.
Is it?
Yeah, they love me there. And I love them.
You should.
They have a bottle shop now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Really?
You got to check it out.
Very cool. I don't get down there very often anymore, but...
I know a lot of times like people will stop there on their way down to like a game or something. And they've changed their hours now. They're open a lot later. So you can tell them the Flying Fish rep sent you in. They'll just roll out the red carpet.
I'm going to kick her ass.
All right.
Anyway, all right, let's get back to what's important here.
We're on the Flying Fish Exit 4, the American Triple. And why do you call it an American Triple?
So it is a Belgian yeast with American hops.
Okay.
And so that's what differentiates it. This was actually the very first Exit beer that we did. We started the project years ago, and it was our way of doing our own Brewmaster's Reserve by connecting it to something Jersey. So hence the Jersey Turnpike exits.
Right.
And we decided that we were going to systematically release a couple a year in big, like 750s, limited draft. And and connect that particular beer to whatever that Turnpike exit was.
Right.
So Exit 4 is where we used to be when we were in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And the style, the American Triple, is just what our brewmaster at the time wanted to do.
It's like a Belgian IPA. It's
basically, yeah.
It's got the American hops, American hop finish, with the Belgian yeast notes, and it's very clean. It's nice. It's almost like it's like a triple IPA funked up with some Belgian yeast.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
9.5%. Took a gold medal at JBF in 2000.
It's a good beer.
It's really good.
It is a good beer.
So
you get that funkiness, that
mm-hmm.
Belgian funkiness. It's nice. And this beer will wreck you. This is bigger than the 16.
Yeah, this one's 9.5%, and it sneaks up on you.
At all. Yeah.
It's a ninja.
It's a ninja.
It's a ninja. It'll sneak up on you.
How much do you know about ninjas?
Nothing.
That's right. It's a correct answer.
So a couple of years ago, we decided to see what we could do by putting Exit 4 in a 12-ounce bottle, and it sold so well that we could not keep up with the demand. So even though it was technically available, it never felt like it really was because we were still in Cherry Hill and just couldn't keep up. And so by the time that we moved to Summerdale, we have been able to keep up with production and demand, and it's just taken off.
Every time we do a sampling, Exit 4 is one of the ones that people really like.
Because I can see why people would be hesitant to spend, $40, $50 on a case of beer that you've never had before,
right.
Which is why, it's an easy sell.
When you're sampling, it's easy sell. Because you get the Belgian candy sugar taste, like you get that sweetness, but then you also get the hoppiness too. Like it's a great combination. It really is.
I'm not trying to be smart enough, but where's the hoppiness?
Really?
You don't have a hoppy finish there? Really?
Yeah. I don't smell it.
Have you ever had a Belgian IPA?
Of course.
So give me an example. Like Verboten or...
I've had that.
Raging Pitch.
I've had that. Yep.
I think this is better than both of them. Bless you. I think this is better than both of them.
But I don't get the aroma in the beginning. I associate hops with the aroma. The bitterness is... I don't associate hops with bitterness. I understand that's the primary driving ingredient to make the bitterness, right?
Right.
But I associate the hop... I'm looking for the aroma.
Yeah, but I think that Belgian yeast kind of...
It must offset it.
Yeah. It kind of suppresses it.
To me, it smells like a Belgian.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
It's got that crisp, like champagne-y, but it's not super sweet.
It's just a little bit of
I
Belgian
think the
sugar
hops
we
finish.
put in.
I think the hops...
Maybe that's
that balances
that.
the sugar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe that's what it's doing. Because there's a little bitter.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the hops.
Have it on Buckley.
Todd.
Oh, it's Todd.
He's in trouble.
That's all right. We're still rolling here. We're good.
God.
We're good. But it's not the same without Evan.
Right.
It's when you got nobody there. It's kind of.
I mean, we still have a studio audience.
Yeah.
Hello.
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It is good, though. It is very good. So then, what's it? I know I ask this every single week, but a saison is not a single if a double and triple and quad, right? A saison isn't necessarily.
Saison is a yeast. It's the type of yeast you're using.
All right. So then, when you go to a double, is it a saison but with more?
Doubles usually a heavier malt, darker malt.
It's darker malt.
Yeah.
So for us, like we, the Gran Cru is probably
the same recipe. Sorry to interrupt. Is it the same recipe as a saison? You just add more malt.
The malt's lighter. Saison malts are lighter. So it's more of an effervescent yeast, so it'll create more carbonation. Typically, a saison yeast has more carbonation, kind of fizzy on your tongue.
It's not the same yeast as a double, then?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Because with all of ours, like the Exit 4, the Gran Cru, and the Belgian IPA Double, it's all the same Belgian yeast.
Correct.
So
I would see that.
We use
but they're all heavier, bigger.
But saison yeasts I think are different. I think they're more carbonated. They're more effervescent as far as carbonation goes.
In response to you beating me down about the Budweiser comment, can you explain about saison yeast, please?
No, we don't make a saison.
Right.
I am definitely. Personally, that's probably one of my least favorite styles. Like the saison sours, like in that realm of beerdom, is just not my jam. I'm not really into them.
How do you feel about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Huge fan. I mean, I was born in '82. Like.
On the playground is where you spent most of your days.
Yeah, well, that's how I remembered when I was first starting at Drexel. That's how I remembered where Drexel was in West Philadelphia.
That's a good beer.
And you know what? We should have a sorbet in between these two.
Are you throwing up?
No, I was about to spit it out.
Thank you.
Because they're very similar. The Gran Cru and the 4 are very similar, so we should cleanse our palate and go with the pretzel.
This doesn't taste like a triple that I've ever had.
Well, it's not. It's not going to be because of the hops. Most Belgian triples, you taste that candy sugar, the funkiness.
It's just sweet and then it's a little bit funky.
Right.
And then you smell the funk, you taste the sweet, and then you're like looking for hops. I'm looking for hops.
Right. This has it.
I guess that's what that bitterness is on the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
We definitely like to pride ourselves on having like very
It's a unique
balanced,
It is.
consistent beers, and so I think that could be, you know, like a lot of the beer geeks who want like this like over the top like ridiculous thing. Like you're not really going to see a lot of that coming out of Flying Fish. You know,
Yeah, but I think these are big. And, I mean,
that's a big beer. You can't taste that it's a big beer.
Right.
But
No.
that's a big beer.
I think it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, you're saying you're not seeing big, ridiculous things come out. This is. I mean, I think so.
I think it is too. I think this is as well.
Yeah.
I don't think people give this to credit for as big as it really is.
They don't. They don't.
Let's drink this shit out.
and that's why I'm here today to tell you how rad they are and why everyone should drink them.
Mm-hmm. And the Abbey Double also.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a lot of credit for it, but that's one of your most underrated beers. I mean,
It is. I mean, it's such a
we did it on the beer
well-made.
review.
It's such a well-made American American interpretation of a Belgian double.
Right.
And for like the price that we sell it at, I
Right.
mean,
It has those banana notes, the clovey notes. It's there's no hop character to it at all. It's all malt. I mean, if you really like a malty beer, you'll love it.
you know what? And I think like maybe so we're gonna try the Gran Cru next, but maybe one of your beefs with the Gran Cru is maybe you just don't get any hop whatsoever,
Right.
Probably.
and that's
Seriously.
probably your
I probably tried it. And is it a high ABV beer?
no, it's 7.
I might have had it somewhere and thought Flying Fish, okay, I'll try it. And it was looking for hops.
I don't think we need a rinsey rinse with this either.
Mm-mm. The Gran Cru is actually the first Flying Fish I ever remember having. There's a dive bar in Philly that I go to all the time, and they used to run the Gran Cru all the time, which they still do now because I make them. But
And what's it called?
the dive bar, it's called Druid's Keep in Northern Liberties.
Don't know it.
It's a gym.
Was it?
Hmm
Do you believe that trends flow in cycles?
Absolutely.
Are you the ones who's trying to start the 80s back over again?
No, I would love to have. I think the '90s are probably more of a comeback because like there's that new radio station.
Isn't Rad from the 80s? Wouldn't that be more 80s and 90s? No, because Fresh Prince was the 90s as well. That was 92, 96.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me, guys.
But the that new radio station, Boom 107.9, that's playing nothing but like old school hip hop and R&B.
That's you?
A lot of well, I'm not behind it,
No,
but
but I mean,
do-
that's all you? That's your station?
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Makes being in the car a lot more pleasant.
Kind of like having beans for dinner the night before you go on a long trip.
Man, is that something you typically practice?
It makes it more pleasant when you bite.
Wow, your wife is a lucky woman.
Hear that?
Don't leave tonight.
Oh man, so this is our Gran Cru.
I think this is one of the first beers that I had from Flying Fish a long time ago.
Yep.
And I love it.
Tell me what a crew is.
So it's
What
a
Grand Cru.
So that's the thing with Gran Crus. It's kind of like a best of the best. I believe is its direct
Best
kind
beer.
of translation.
It just means best beer, really.
And so
Yeah.
that's why Gran Cru is not a specific style. And so every brewery that makes their own Gran Cru, they are going to be completely different.
Right.
So ours just is our Belgian Golden Ale.
So you mean to tell me if I would buy a Grand Cru from you and a Grand Cru from somebody else, it may taste totally different?
They'd be like I
It may
know
smell totally
Could be a
different?
stout.
Green Flash.
Really?
Their Gran Cru is dark,
Right.
like real dark,
Really?
and not a Belgian at all.
That's interesting. Now I want to try all of them. I assumed it was a style that was similar to this.
Yeah,
So
no.
the next time someone says I don't like Gran Crus, well,
You
that's
can't
not a
say
thing.
that, yeah.
Can't say
Interesting.
it.
See, I smell the Belgian
Belgian
funkiness. I
That's all I
can
smell.
just smell that Belgian funky taste to it. Or
Smells like my
smell to it.
basement.
But you can see the similarities to the Exit 4 just without the hops and the sugar.
Smells similar. It has a little bit of that grainy malt bill to it. Light grainy
Now I
malt
smell the
bill.
hops in this.
Yeah.
Now I smell the hops.
Where you don't get the hops with this. This is a really clean, easy drinker. Probably a great transition beer for somebody that's drinking the Miller Lite, Coors Light, and that wants to enter into craft and get a little risky with their beer choice. Gran Cru is good.
It actually has been a really nice gateway beer. I've done a couple samplings in some bars that don't carry that much craft.
Right.
And so sometimes I think that the extra pale ale might be like the best segue beer for that Bud Miller Coors drinker.
But that might have
Gran
a little too
Cru-
much hops for it, for them, you know?
Or
I see what
so
you're saying with this too, though.
Yeah,
this gets them.
absolutely.
What are we doing next?
The Exit 1.
Now this beer is the oyster stout, right?
Mhm. So what it is,
I
the
love
connection with the Exit 1. So we used
Could be shy.
60 oysters in a 50-barrel batch that are from
Now, when you say oysters, you mean oyster shells,
the
right?
whole damn thing.
You put the whole thing
The
in?
whole thing.
Really?
hmm
We talked about
That's
this
unique because
You
I
get-
never heard that.
You get the brininess from like the
Wow.
meaty part, and then that nice like creaminess
I
and
didn't
a
realize
nice
that.
dry finish from the shells.
Oh, you
So-
can tell.
Because now listen, yards only use the shells.
A lot of IPAs or beers like this I've had have only used the shells. And I thought it was something to do with the water
The
softness
minerals.
and
Minerals.
the minerals that
Yeah.
add to it.
Yes.
Yeah, and they make
Yep.
it the creaminess.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you actually use the whole thing, it's gotta taste like the
So
ocean.
this is an aphrodisiac.
It smells like the ocean. All beers are aphrodisiacs. There's a point. It's an aphrodisiac until the point it turns into a throw-up inducer. And if you can catch her right there,
That magic
you're
point.
golden. A little too much this way, it's got a cap. A little too much this way, it's got a cap. Right?
So the Exit 1 is now available as a late winter seasonal. 12-ounce bottles, limited draft. Yeah, just came out a couple
great.
weeks ago.
It
So
smells great.
we originally, I think this was our 5th exit that we did, and when we originally did it, our brewmaster he had a very difficult time trying to find a recipe for an oyster stout because no one had done one before. So
Typically, they're not
It was-
7.5% either.
yeah, I think typically they're a lot lower
5.5,
in ABV,
6,
something
yeah.
like that. But since then, a lot more breweries have come out with their own version of an oyster stout.
I thought this was an English style oyster stout.
Irish
It was
Irish.
Irish, yeah.
So it's, when you
It's
say
an Irish ale yeast.
when you said it was tough to find a recipe because no one had done them, is it something that no one had done them in America?
And not using a full oyster either. I think before.
Now
it was
in
just the
Ireland,
crushed shells.
do they use full oysters?
Crushed shells? Yeah, I think crushed shells.
Oh, really? So
Mhm.
you're the first one to put whole oysters in.
I do not want to.
No, you need to
say
make
that
that
for
claim.
sure, but
Flying Fish.
I'm
is the
disappointed.
first brewery.
I don't know that for certain. Wikipedia is a valuable source to figure this one out. But yeah, when we originally released this one in the big bottles, no one knew what the hell it was. So people still bought it because it was one of our exit beers. But my boss tells the story of one time he went into a liquor store in Jersey and some guy had actually taken the 750 and was dumping it upside down looking for the oysters inside.
Oh my gosh!
Like a shooter.
So there are no oysters in
Kind of like the worm
bottle.
in the tequila. You know?
Just-
Can I do the oysters?
Do you
So,
hallucinate when you eat the oyster at the bottom of this?
not that I know
No?
of.
Okay, I was just curious. I love this beer.
But yeah, so we've...
I get a lot of burnt malts.
Yep.
Not a lot of hops. Not a lot of chocolate. Not a lot of coffee. It's the burnt malts, the roasted malts.
Like to me, it tastes briny. It tastes like the ocean. Not the overused word the ocean would be overly vague, but isn't it briny? Like
See, I don't...
that, like,
some
oyster
people
taste?
pick it up and some people don't. So I personally don't pick up the brininess at all.
I love
but
it.
I know
love
some
it. It's
people
good.
do.
You taste it?
No, but I will say it's very smooth. I love it. I get a little bit of that hop character on the back, a little bit of hop bitterness on the back.
I like that it's 7.5 too. I mean, I like
It's
it.
not too big.
you don't
I
see
mean,
that much.
It's usually
It's
the
not
more
too big.
imperial stouts that are going to be a lot
Right.
boozier.
But then they're too boozy. You know, they're 9, 10, 11%. It's almost too much. You know, this is to me is perfect. It's a little bit more in the middle. But to me, it works.
I will say your exit series is phenomenal. I mean, it's
And we've done 8
Top
so
line.
far in the big bottles. The last one we got out was actually the Exit 8, the Belgian Chestnut Brown Ale. And we're finally going to get a new exit beer out this coming February. So it's the
what
plans
is it?
are it's going to be exit number 3, which is our closer exit now that we're in Summerdale. It's supposed to be a 15% blueberry braggot.
Oh, you told me that. The
Yeah.
other day.
What's
So-
a braggot?
It's kind of like a cross between a barley wine and a mead.
Interesting.
Now I asked you
That's
this.
a
I asked you
specialized
this
beer.
yesterday. What kind of yeast do you use to get it
Oh,
up
you were-
to
I think-
15%?
So everyone was asking, is it going to be a champagne yeast? I'm like,
That's what I said.
they'll-
Yeah.
When they get in the tanks, I'm sure they'll tell me what's inside.
Because I'm
of
saying
it.
I'm picturing a 15% beer, a champagne yeast. It's going to be very very carbonated, and it's going to be one of those beers that's
Yeah, but
You
most
know.
times when you get that high, there's not a lot of carbonation.
unless
That's just due to the gravity, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I'm just wondering. I don't know. I don't know.
It'd be nice to have a carbonated beer that's 15%.
Absolutely.
You know?
Because usually they're flat as hell. I
And
don't
by
know.
the time you get done with it, you're flat too.
It is, yeah. So we're the plans are to have Exit 3 up here for Lehigh Valley Beer Week.
Nice.
So I've been setting up events like the past 2 days, and so a lot of the bars will have either the bomber bottles or the beer on draft.
Like Liberty Street and all this, yeah.
So we're gonna have to make sure we serve it in like shot glasses.
Oh, 15%.
That's a big beer.
So I don't know how.
Can you taste the blueberry? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Have they ever brewed it yet?
I know that we were doing
Obviously had to.
test batches on like a little like mini homebrew kit. So
Literally, is that the way you do it?
that's the way, and they've been experimenting around like so now that we actually have a really nice tasting room in Somerdale. We first started doing a barrel aging program and putting on like barrel aged specialty stick stills to get people to come in, and now the brewers have started this own project called Gone Fishin'. So it's a tiny little, we're talking like 8-gallon, super small batch of whatever, and they just take turns.
That's cool.
And so that's that is a specialty in one office.
That's nice. That's cool. Yeah.
So you may or may not get something awesome, and you may or may not then continue to brew it on a larger scale.
You may never see it again.
Right.
It's one of those things that if something's really successful or something really works, then you can always figure out, should we use this for like a future exit? Should we use this down the line?
You see on Beer Advocate, these breweries, little tiny breweries, 10 million beers.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you have that many beers? That's probably the concept. Is that
Right.
Well, it's a brew pub.
Yeah, so you try it, people try it, they list it, you see it, but then it doesn't come back, or it never gets bottled, it never gets distributed.
Now, let me ask you this. Being from a brewery, what do you think of Beer Advocate? It's a great question.
Like, okay.
Yeah, it is.
Choose your words. I always, I compare
You
it.
crucify yourself right now,
I always compare Beer Advocate to Yelp. That if
Agreed.
you are a reasonable user or like a reasonable person that can look at user reviews and know that these are like other people that are reviewing it,
Right.
and there could be other circumstances that might have affected, you're able to read that review and be kind of like uninterpret it versus like taking it as the Bible and saying,
Oftentimes when I look at it, I look at the BA score versus the Bros.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I'd rather see the BA score than the Bros score.
A lot of people are different. A lot of people are the opposite. But to me, it's only two guys. It's only them.
Right.
Whether it's two guys or
right. I want a bigger aggregate. You know what I mean? I want a bigger.
The average.
Yeah.
But I think my problem is you don't know how the person who's consuming and rating the beer had that beer. Were the lines dirty? Did they eat a blue cheeseburger and have a Abbey Double and think that it tastes wrong? Well, it's like no, because you should be pairing blue cheese and Abbey Double. So that's what I have a hard time with Beer Advocate, because there's no.
But depending on the style, I'm reading specific things. If I'm looking for an IPA, I'm reading the smell. I don't care about the appearance. I really don't care about the taste. I don't care about the body. I don't care. I want to know what it smells like.
Right.
It's an IPA. I want to know what But if it's a barley wine, I want to know about the body and I want to know about the taste,
the mouthfeel,
because the mouth, because there's not a whole lot of aroma and things.
Right.
So I'll actually go through. I don't necessarily care about the score. Watson's a guy who won't drink anything under an 89. He won't go anything under 90. He's just a pain in the ass that way.
Watson, you still haven't come on the show.
but I'll look at the reviews, and when they do the smell, the aroma, and I'll actually read, depending on what I'm looking for, I'll read that, and I'll read 3 or 4 or 5 of them.
Right.
If there's 5 of them that are the same, more than likely, it's going to taste that way, it's going to smell that way, and I'll either decide whether I'm going to buy it or not.
Right.
But I also don't read it until after I've had it.
Okay.
I'm looking, okay, I've had that yesterday. Let me see what everybody else says. Let me see if I can see the same things, because I don't want to be pre-programmed either.
Sure. No, yeah.
See, I personally, I've never used it as a tool to figure out like a beer that I'd like to drink. I have always enjoyed, and when I first started going to like beer festivals and stuff, that was the first time I kind of like learned about different breweries. And then also, you're completely spoiled living in Philly, that I can go to pretty much any bar and get like something different.
The 5-county area is a hotbed, man.
It's huge.
So maybe my mentality is skewed because I can go to any bar and ask for a suggestion.
Right.
And so
it's even bigger than the New York area. Philly's the biggest hotbed.
And that's what really started my research in the craft beer industry, is why Philly, why not New York, why not DC? Because you gotta admit, like 5 years ago, DC's craft beer scene didn't exist at all.
But you got to admit, Pennsylvania really was. They were they were innovators in the craft movement.
Absolutely.
Pennsylvania was key in the craft movement. You had a lot of breweries coming from Pennsylvania. Years ago, I remember 10 years ago, Pennsylvania had the most breweries per state out of any other state in the country. More than Colorado. Now it might be Colorado. Pennsylvania was huge. And now it might be Colorado or other area. I don't know. But Pennsylvania was huge at the time.
I feel like I saw some statistic that we're looking at like 4,500 breweries next year. Total in the U.S. Yeah. But even still, I mean, that's a lot.
Oh, yeah. And back when Carol Stout and Sierra Nevada and Summit started back in the 80s, there was like a handful. Maybe
was it down to 73 or something?
It was low.
It was very, very low.
It was low.
Yeah, I think the timeline, it's whole like Jimmy Carter legalized home brewing like 78.
Right.
And that was the massive turn of events. And so all these home brewers got started, and then that's why you saw the huge opening of breweries from like 85 to 95.
Yep.
Because I know a lot of us local guys like Yards, Victory, Dogfish Head, like all of us got started like right in the mid 90s.
Yep.
So.
No, it was the one thing Jimmy Carter did that was good.
Wasn't it Billy Beer?
Was that his home brew?
That was his brother's beer.
It was his brother's beer. Yeah. All right, so in review, Exit 16. You want to do the Vanna White? Exit 16. The poor man's Pliny, not the rich man's Budweiser.
Heady Topper.
Heady Topper. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, poor man's Heady Topper. It's really good. It's floral.
Right? Send it that way.
Floral, aromatic. It's
he compared it to Pliny, not to Budweiser.
Yeah, right. Anything compared to Pliny is a good thing. I mean, come on.
I don't know. I like Budweiser.
Exit 4, great triple made with Belgian yeast, hoppy. Basically a Belgian IPA, 9.5%. Great beer. Exit series, anything from Flying Fish in the Exit series you'll love. Fantastic beers. Gran Cru, great winter seasonal, Belgian style, golden ale, solid beer. Great entry. If you're an entry level person that wants to get into craft, try the Gran Cru. It won't be too offensive on the hop level. Exit 1, maybe the only stout brewed with whole oysters.
A whole thing.
No, it is the only one. Wikipedia, look it up.
The only one that
Might
matters.
be.
I'm going to edit it. I'm going to edit it on the way out in my car. It will be the only one when I leave.
And then also just to touch on the rest of our styles since I'm here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Because you're talking about kind of like entry level. There are a lot of people that are not really sure. It's very overwhelming. Pennsylvania, we're known for our variety packs. Yep. So we make a beautiful variety case that comes with our 4 year-round styles. So we've got our extra pale ale, first beer we ever brewed, #1 craft beer at Citizens Bank Ballpark, which I realize I could be in Yankee territory.
No. You're in anti-Yankee territory.
Hopfish IPA, which actually took a gold medal at the Great American Beer Fest this year. It's a very sessionable, approachable, easy drinking English style IPA. So even if you're terrified of hops, you still might gravitate towards this. Yep. Really, really nice beer. And then our Redfish, it's a West Coast style hoppy red ale. This one took a silver at GABF this year. And then our Belgian Abbey Double that JJ was talking about earlier. Very similar yeast as the Gran Cru and the Exit 4, but it's going to be that darker roastier malt. And all 4 of those are available here at Link Beverage as well in their standalone case in addition to the variety pack. And then probably the last thing I would just want to say is our brewery definitely prides ourselves on being very sustainable and very green. So if you look at our packaging and you're kind of like, well, what were they thinking? All of our packaging is printed on recycled cardboard. We're definitely one of the most sustainable breweries on the East Coast. We got to have a lot of initiatives, all of which are on our website if you are interested in green initiatives. But the tasting room is open Wednesday.
It really is.
It's open Wednesday through Sunday for tastings and tours. We have a couple specialty beers on tap, that Gone Fishing series. Go check it out. The woman who runs our tasting room actually founded the brewery with Jean, who's our current president and owner, and she's a fantastic lady. So, and we're located just 10 minutes on the other side of the Walt Whitman Bridge from Philadelphia. So you can make an easy day of it. Assuming that there's no traffic on 76, you could be there in an hour.
Good luck.
So
anyway, thanks for watching. Think Link, and thanks, Mary Grace.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Watch us on or like us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. You know, the whole 9 yards.